Good evening, residents of Everett, Washington. I'd like to call to order the Everett City Council meeting of August 28th, 2024. For the record, Councilmember Fossey will be participating remotely this evening. The City Council meets all requirements of the State of Washington Open Public Meetings Act. Committee members are welcome to join either in person, remote, via Zoom, or by calling in. For those who wish to participate via Zoom in the future, you'll find the instructions to register for public comment on the City of Everett website under City Council departments. Please note we do not allow comments of any kind of campaigning, whether for or against ballot measures or candidates running for office. We also do not accept comments focused on personal matters that are unrelated to city business. We ask the audience to refrain from clapping, cheering, or booing, and no signage of any kind are allowed in the chambers. We also ask that everyone take a seat and not gather in the entryway area. Clerk, will you please take the roll?
Mayor Franklin.
Here.
Vice President Zarlingo.
Here.
Councilmember Vogely.
Here.
Councilmember Fossey.
Here.
Councilmember Toohey.
Here.
Councilmember Ryan.
Here.
Councilmember Bader.
Here.
President Schwab.
Here. At this time, I'd like Councilmember Ryan to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Please stand if you are able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and at this time, I'd like to ask Councilmember Vogely to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you. The City Council wishes to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this place, the Shtahoksh people and their successors, the Tulalip tribes. Since time immemorial, they have hunted, fished, gathered on, and taken care of these lands and waters. We respect their sovereignty, their right to self-determination, and honor their sacred spiritual connection with the land and water. We will strive to be honest about our past mistakes and bring about a future that includes their people, stories, and voices to form a more just and equitable society.
Thank you. Do I hear a motion to approve the minutes for August 21st, 2024?
Councilmember Ryan moves approval of the minutes from August 21st, 2024.
Second.
Motion is second. Clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Zarlingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey. Councilmember Toohey.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bader.
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes. Well, good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, President Schwab and council members. As you may know, Tom Hinkston has announced his much-deserved retirement, scheduled for the end of next month. And Tom has done so much to shape Everett Transit. I wanted to say a few words about him. First, I guess I want to just say thank you for your passion and dedication and years of service to the community. You know, under Tom's leadership, we have moved to electric buses and vehicles. He's advocated for that and helped secure funding for that. And now we are a leader in electric buses in the region and probably across the country. He's advocated for changes to improve routes to better serve our customers. He's fought to offer free rides to serve those wishing to attend many of our events and festivals throughout the years. Our staff that work with you really understand how much you desire to make Everett Transit the best organization it is, and you really have succeeded. I think we're recognized as a leader in providing quality and caring service. The role in delivering transit choices to a community that needs them is really led by the top, and that is our transit director. You have forever impacted this community with the leadership that you provided to the transit team and the organization of Everett Transit. But lastly, I just want to share that Tom is a real joy to work with. Tom has always been the first to volunteer when there's a special project that requires all kinds of extra work and leadership, such as like a United Way campaign, where you're working to collect donations across the city for important projects in our community. Tom's also the first to offer a song to team members. Not only is he a beautiful writer of these songs, but he also has a gorgeous voice and is quite theatrical, and those little things have led to an extraordinarily strong culture in Everett Transit and across our directors and city as a whole. And Tom has really embraced the idea of one Everett and shows that every day in his daily work. I just want to thank you again for your service. I'm going to miss you terribly. Our entire team will miss you terribly, and I'd love to invite you forward to say a few words.
Thank you, Mary Franklin. Mayor Franklin, for those kind words. And thank you for your leadership. It's been truly an honor. I wrote it down. President Schwab, Council, the city provided me an opportunity for an exceptional career. And the administration and council support has been a huge part of that. When I first came to the city in 1999, the plans for Everett Station were just being finalized, and I was invited to be part of the implementation of that. And now I get to show my name etched on the steel plate on the south wall to my grandkids. In 2004, Council supported transit by bravely asking for a sales tax increase, and it has allowed us to grow Everett Transit to where we are today. In 2007, the city made a brave decision to join with community transit and build the Swift Bus Rapid Transit system. And we held in this very room a joint meeting, never been done before, of the City Council and the CT Board. And just like the Declaration of Independence, we got everybody's signature on that single day. It's one of my proudest moments in my career. And Mayor and administration and council have continued to support us with our budgets each year that ask you to believe that we're going to move forward in the right direction, that you've supported us in our grant asks and securing funds to electrify our fleet, as Mayor suggested. We're going to have 33 out of 49 buses will be electric before this time next year, along with all the infrastructure to charge them and keep them going. These things do not happen without a supportive administration, a mayor, and a council. And I want to personally thank you for your support of Everett Transit over these many years. There are big challenges ahead, especially as we look at the impact of light rail that we're going to have in our city. But I'm leaving you with an excellent team that are ready and willing and able to carry those challenges forward and to meet the goals of the city and transit in the city of Everett. So, on October 1st, I'm going to trade this hat for this hat. It looks better with a coat anyway. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tom. We will miss you very much, but at least I get to keep you through the rest of this month. So get to enjoy working with you for a few more weeks. I have a few more comments. I know we've all been really digging into the voluntary separation ordinance leading up to tonight, and I just wanted to emphasize how important it is. The VSIP is key for our budget development process, as our employees need your decision on this program this evening. We're all in the incredibly unfortunate position of needing to make $12.6 million in reductions for the 2025 budget. And as we all know, the majority of our costs of running the city is our staff. The VSIP is the only tool we have that allows our staff team members to make their own choice in this process. None of us want to be in the position of reducing our workforce, but the VSIP is a quite equitable way to do that and create savings for the city. We will need to know as soon as possible how many employees are interested in this opportunity so that we can fold that into our budget development work, which is already on an incredibly tight timeline. And I also want to share how much I appreciate the attention the council has given to our budget crisis. I know you are looking hard for solutions to help us through the situation. I just want to say thank you for rolling up your sleeves and digging in. Last week, Lori Cummings noted for you that we have effectively begun a hiring freeze outside of police officers and firefighters. As mayor, this was a really difficult decision to make, but I believe it was necessary, and I appreciate your support. of that decision. My job is to ensure our operational goals are being met, and I will continue to do that with our limited resources. And lastly, I very much appreciate your consideration of changing the fourth Wednesday meeting to a 12:30 time. This is helpful to our staff since it's in the middle of the workday and allows them to keep their regular schedules more consistent, and it will also save money on overtime for late-night council meetings. So with that in mind, I would just like to ask you to consider changing both the second and fourth Wednesdays to 12:30 p.m. as you consider that change. Everett has a mix of start times for meetings over the years, and so it's consistent with past practices, and it would double the savings for that action. And thank you for that, and no further comments this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, now it's time for public comment, which includes written comments acknowledgement. Under our rules, written comments shall be considered in the same manner as oral comments. The commenter must provide their name and city of residence. Each comments or written comments require this to be made part of the official council record. Good evening, Angie. Do we have any written comments or anyone signed up to speak this evening?
Good evening, President Schwab. We have two individuals here that would like to speak. So we'll start with Aaron, if you could please come to the podium. And please state your full name, city of residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And when you see the yellow light on the top right of the podium, you'll have 30 seconds left. And just hit there you go, that's on. Okay, you can go
Okay.
ahead.
My name's Erin Knight, and I live in Everett. Thank you. Council members, tonight you face a difficult decision regarding the voluntary separation program that the mayor was just speaking about. Over the past 2 meetings, I've heard several of you bring up concerns about rushing into this process and doubts about the details involved. So I urge you to trust your instincts when it comes time to vote tonight and to have confidence in the upcoming budgeting process. The reality is that until we're further along in that budgeting process, we don't really know what the actual target is going to be. The $12.6 million figure that we've been talking about is based on data from about a year ago, unless we get updated forecasting numbers from the administration. And at least from what I've seen in the June 30th city financial report, that budget gap could be much lower and not require widespread drastic cuts at all. Another critical issue, which was brought up last week but should not be overlooked, is the illogical nature of encouraging voluntary separations from positions that would have to be refilled immediately. This approach would just create a bigger burden of hiring and retraining new people. Take the police department as an example. They're already significantly understaffed, as everyone knows, and it seems counterproductive to worsen that problem by encouraging officers to leave. Finally, a separation program doesn't address the structural deficit we're facing. We're talking about 2020 and using that as an example, but if you remember 2020, we needed a quick short-term solution, and today we need to focus on long-term strategies. We really shouldn't shy away from involuntary separations when necessary. It's an opportunity, actually, to eliminate ineffective personnel, unnecessary positions, and non-essential programs, something any responsible organization must do from time to time. In summary, I strongly urge you to vote no tonight on the VSIP ordinance in favor of more strategic cuts to positions and programs. If you do feel compelled to move forward, at the very least, wait a few weeks until those newer budget numbers are in and we have the survey data back from a survey that went out to the community about priorities. And if it does end up being deemed necessary, please ensure that critical staff who would need to be replaced anyway aren't included in the process. So thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. If Roger could please come to the podium. Please state your full name and city of residence, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. You have 3 minutes to speak, and we need you to state your full name and city of residence.
My name is Roger Moeller. I live in Bothell, Washington. I'm with the Washington State Council of County and City Employees, and I'm the staff representative that is assigned to advise and assist Everett Municipal Employees Local 113. I'm here this evening to speak in favor of the Voluntary Separation Incentive Program and would encourage you to pass the initiative as it was initially presented by the mayor's office. We have concerns that the amendments will take some of the luster off of the program and will not have the reach that it would otherwise have. One of the concerns we would like to see addressed is the salary cap. The salary cap of $55,000 would discourage those high wage earners within the general fund who would otherwise take advantage of the program. Even though we don't represent those people, any pressure that's taken off of the general fund by those people leaving would benefit our members. So we would strongly encourage you to adopt this ordinance as the mayor presented it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, and that concludes our public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, moving on to council comments and liaison reports. Councilmember Zarlingo.
Well, thank you. First, I'd like to thank Tom Hinkson. When I first started in this position, I got some really useful information, training, background on what goes on in transit, and that helped a lot in my later work with Sound Transit and the Transportation Policy Board. And he's got a staff that's also been very helpful in that. So thank you, Tom. It's been great to work with you. Couple of quick things. Thanks to the people running the Pinehurst Beverly Park neighborhood group. That leadership team of 4 sponsored a real fun event last evening at Lions Park involving their neighbors and families, and so it's just always good to see that and be a part of it. Also, thank you to staff for the work they've done with the community outreach budget sessions. I went to one of those, and those were very good presentations, very responsive, lots of expertise there. So that's really what we need to do to get on the same page with our community members about the really difficult steps we're going to be taking here. And then finally, for anybody who hasn't done it yet, the trip out to Jetty Island, the ferry runs through September 1st. If you haven't done it already, certainly consider that. It's a really special thing, a really neat part of Everett. And if you don't have your own boat, it's a way to get out there. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vogel.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Tom, thank you for your service. It's a surprise, and farewell and good seas and all of the wonderful things that people say. And yesterday I had the pleasure with, I don't know if you saw me, but Councilmember Zarlingo and Jennifer Gregerson and Councilmember Paula Ryan, and I don't think anybody else, well, actually a lot of other people were able to ride the the Sound Transit light rail that's going into Snohomish County now. And tomorrow everybody else gets to start it for the first time and forever on. And it's super duper exciting. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Fosse.
No questions or comments, thank you.
Councilmember Tui.
Thank you. Yeah, first of all, congratulations, Tom. Job well done, and I hope you have many years of just playing, singing and playing. We had our Safe Community Committee meeting this afternoon, and Corey Hurt was there, who gave us an update on the Vision Zero Everett, the comprehensive safety action plan that we received a grant for a while back, and that is now launching, set to launch in about 2 weeks or a week and a half. And so we will have a good update from them in probably mid-year next year. So he brought us up to date on that. And that's all I have for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Ryan.
Great, thanks. Good evening, everybody. Congratulations, Tom. I know Everett Transit's is going to be left in really good hands, and also just in a good situation to be able to make sure that all of our residents can get around town easily. So thank you for your years and years of service, and best wishes in retirement. I got a chance to join for the preview ride last night for light rail, and it was just, I know we all have been thinking about how far away the timeline was, and now it's here, so it's just was really exciting to get a chance to ride it. It's going to be from Linwood to downtown, it'll be 28 minutes, and Linwood to SeaTac, it'll be about 58, 59 minutes, which is generally way faster than actually driving. So I'm really thrilled about the opportunities that it'll bring to Snohomish County, and then also to Everett, and just a lot more ways just to connect with our community. So very excited about that. They have their ribbon cutting on Friday at 11 o'clock, and then a big block party around 4 p.m. So hop aboard. Next stop, Everett. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Bader.
Yes, a couple items. Got to do a ribbon cutting today to celebrate the 85th anniversary of the Milltown Credit Union, which started out as a credit union at the front of our paper companies back in 1939, and then Scott Paper ultimately took it over, and then Kimberly Clark, and I think at that point it became kind of the Milltown Credit Union, so congratulations to them and their good work in the community. Tom, I want to say thank you for so much you've done for Everett, and I think, unless my memory is really faulty, I think my career in public involvement kind of mirrors my connection with you. I was on the Community Transit Citizens Advisory Committee when Tom was at Community Transit. I was over at Mukilteo School District when Tom went to work at Mukilteo Schools. Then I came on the Everett Transit Advisory Committee, and Tom was then at Everett Transit, and now get the pleasure of having worked with you at City Council. So I'm just grateful for all you do, and I'm worried what that says about my maybe my time to look at retirement too. So I obviously wish you well, and again, grateful for all you've done. Just wanted to note one thing, since we're talking about Sound Transit Open Light Rail to Linwood. I want to thank you, Mayor, for what you did as a regular commuter and transit rider into Seattle to convince Sound Transit to preserve the 510 run, at least for somewhat the foreseeable future. I know many of us that commute into Seattle value the one-seat ride from Everett that the 510 provides and will continue to provide. So I want to thank you for that. And I know when Northgate, link opened to Northgate back in 2020 or 2020, I think it was 2021, that the 513, which is also an Everett run, terminated at Northgate, and we saw a significant increase in ridership on the 510 when that happened from commuters who were seeking to preserve that one-seat ride. So I know that's valuable to at least some, and I think many commuters, and I'll be eager to see what kind of data Sound Transit and Community Transit might bring us sometime, maybe in the fall or winter, showing how commuter patterns have changed due to the opening of light rail to Linwood, including impacts to the bus network that exists now as well as what will exist later. But again, I do want to thank you for that, your role in preserving that 510 run. And that's the end of my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations, Tom. With your leadership, Everett is a unique city that has their own transit, and I know the industry has evolved immensely as far as revenue and grants and ridership and electrification, and you have brought the agency in the forefront the whole way, so thank you very much. Also, I look forward to the retirement song that you wrote on your YouTube channel. Shout out to, I just want to give a shout out to the Boulevard Blessed neighborhood. They adopted Mukilteo Boulevard, and there was a big turnout that gave up their Sunday morning to go out and clean up garbage, and it did make a big difference. This week, the mayor and I attended one of the last public outreach sessions on the budget, and there was a pretty good turnout at the Weyerhaeuser building at the Everett station. There was, we talked about it beforehand, and we really wanted to spend a time listening. We ended up spending a lot of time answering questions, which was good too. So even up to this point, after all our levy, there's still a lot of questions out there with our residents. So the mayor was good about keep diverting back to getting input, and thanks for your staff for giving that opportunity. Couple of things that I just wanted to, just for council information, just some of the things that you saw there on your desk. We did have the ordinance that we've been working on, the VZIP, and the copy that you have is the one with our current amendments. I know you got handled a package there, I just want to clarify that. And then there was two other, one is a staff, more amendments, recommendations from staff. And then the other document was the amendment that was tabled. So that's what you had in front of you there. Sorry I know there was emails, but I wanted you to just make sure you knew about that because there was a lot of last minute work to try to get all this preparation. Also, you've got an email about the budget scheduling, and you'll get another link. We have integrated our analyst consulting. And so you'll be scheduling some time with our analysts, so we have a schedule and a plan for that you'll be getting to very soon. So thank you for that. Also, just a couple of things to the agenda I'll just address right now. We ask that consent item 11 be pulled from this agenda and placed on the September 4th. That's item 11. And then, without objection, I'd like to move item 17 to the very last on our agenda, and we'll go into executive session, and then before we address that item. All right. So, do we have administrative update?
No, I just have this feeling I'll be talking more later anyway, so I'm good for now.
On to our assistant city attorney.
No comment, but I am asking for an executive session pursuant to 4230 110 sub 1 sub I to discuss legal matters related to the VZIP project, and expected to last 20 minutes with expected action to follow.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to our consent items minus number 11. Do I hear a motion?
Councilor Ryan moves approval of consent agenda items 1 through 10.
Councilmember Bader seconds.
Okay, motion and seconds been made. Clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Zarlingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes?
Councilmember Fosse.
Yes.
Councilmember Tui.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bader.
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes. Okay, moving on to item 12, which has already been read in the record. We have a final hearing on September 4th. Are there any questions for item 12, Council Bill 2408? Okay, seeing none. Item 13, first reading, adopt Council Bill 2408-20. First reading, adopt an ordinance closing a special improvement project entitled Laramere Barn Demolition Fund 354, Program 097, as established by ordinance number 4005-28. Third and final reading will be September 11th, 2024. So is there any questions, or there's not a briefing or anything on this one? Okay, any questions at this point? Okay. Moving on to item number 14, first reading, Council Bill 2408-21, adopt an ordinance closing a special improvement project entitled Phil Johnson Ball Fields Playground Renovation Fund 354, Program 089, as established by ordinance number 3968-23. Third and final reading, 9/11/24. Are there any questions? Okay. Moving on to item 15, Council Bill 2408-22, first reading, approve ordinance setting the meeting time schedule for City Council regular scheduled meetings and repealing ordinance number 3935-23, first and final reading, September 11, 2024. Questions or comments? Councilmember Vogely.
It just came to my mind when we were asked to also do a second one, and we have committee meetings. Are committee meetings going? This isn't part of that, but it's gonna be. Our committee meeting is gonna be also scheduled during the day for the daytime meeting or meetings.
Good question. My intention was that the two evening meetings will just about guarantee to have committee meetings those two nights. Not during the day.
Okay.
So we'll confine all our committee meetings to our night meeting dates.
Oh, so there could be two committee meetings on a night.
Potentially, yeah. The idea would be maybe refine them and work with that process, and maybe that will be one committee meeting, but it'll be every evening meeting date.
Okay, I understand. Thank
Yeah.
you. That's all for
Okay.
now.
Councilman Ryan?
Thanks. As a, whatever the word is, where two things come together. As a suggestion, October has 5 Wednesdays. Next year, there's 5 months that have 5 Wednesdays. One of them is December, and the last, the 4th and 5th are the Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, so that doesn't really count. So my suggestion would be that the other daytime meeting would be that 5th Wednesday. And then we don't have a conflict with committee meetings and having to consolidate too many of our committees. I think it's reasonable to condense our 4 committees to 3, and then have those be the 1st, 2nd, 3rd Wednesday, when there's also a nighttime meeting. But then 4th and 5th Wednesdays would be a daytime virtual meeting.
Is that a form of a motion? Or
I
that
would-
discussion?
More of a discussion. I'd be
Okay.
happy to make a motion to make an amendment.
I think personally, I think it's a good concept, so I'll just hear from the others. Any other?
I
Councilmember
have
Zuniga? Oh,
a question.
Councilmember.
So item 18 is more of when we talk about whether that's going to be hybrid or in person or remote. Is that correct?
Yeah, that would be a separate action that would go in congruent with this resolution, correct? And
My
if-
only concern is if we don't amend the procedures to allow for remote access, people who can't access those meetings that are during the daytime, except for if they're doing it remotely, are going to have challenges.
Yeah, and I agree, and that, the intention was to make those daytime meetings, establish those daytime meetings as remote.
Okay, I don't see that, I don't see that written.
I believe the language says up to 2, we could extend that to maybe up to 3,
Council
to give
President,
give leeway to it. Yeah.
so the challenge is there, you set your time schedules via ordinance, and then the resolution, that's item 18, there are your procedures that address the fully remote participation. So the ordinance is the one that's setting that 12:30 time, and then the second item. But they definitely go hand in hand. They're just different processes to bring them forward to you.
Right, so they are different actions. So if we amend one, we can certainly amend the other one.
My problem is, Council President, if we are amending this one first and we don't amend the other one, that might keep council members from being able to attend.
So this one has a first, second, and third reading, and the other one is adopting an amendment. So the item 18 would be adopted tonight, and then two
Tonight?
more, yeah, and then two
That-
more
that
readings
works.
on the council item 15. So I think
Okay,
that
well-
solves the order of events.
Great, thanks for that clarification. We can certainly just table item 18 and wait until it passes.
I think since it's the first, second, and third reading for item 15, we wouldn't need to worry about tabling it. We would just maybe get it in a position that we would then have our second and third reading the next 2 weeks and adopt 18 today, which would set the groundwork for the other one passing.
Councilmember Ryan is correct.
Okay, excellent.
So are there changes to what we're looking at right now, number 18? Or are we looking at adopting it as it is presented to us?
Well, it's currently as it's presented, but there's certainly room for amendments based on any changes we make here.
But you're on number 5.
Yeah, we're on number 15, but we haven't got to 18. We
Okay.
can certainly make changes once we get there. But if there is a sequence of events, we can table it, or we can go right to 18. I'm open. Councilmember Zalingo.
I think you'd mentioned that being the first, second, and third reading on 15, but this is just first reading.
It's the first reading, yes.
Okay, yeah. I
Yeah.
want to make sure that that was correct.
We haven't had a lot of time to discuss this, so once it was presented, I actually wanted this conversation to go here. So it was
Yay.
intentional that you guys have this discussion, because meetings are very important. So,
Council President, are you looking for a motion to discuss agenda item number 18 at this point, or what would you?
well, I could just, at request, I'll just do it.
Okay.
Since
I
there's a
request
motion
it.
on the floor.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we'll switch to item number 18. Any discussion?
I guess I could bring up the item that Councilmember Ryan was referring to, where it says, I guess that would be page 2, where it says the 4th Wednesday of each month. Are you wanting to change that then to the 4th and 5th?
Okay, I'll just take some leadership here. I would entertain a motion for item number 18 to be tabled until, well, this can be tabled, we can bring it up later.
Second,
If you
or
do need to
I'll
a-
make the
Item-
motion.
Okay, right.
Well, I motion to table item number 18 about council procedures until whenever we bring it up again,
All right. That'll have to be after this meeting.
after this meeting.
Yes.
Whenever we bring it up again.
And I'll second
Can I
it.
have-
Go ahead.
Can I have clarification? Why are we tabling 18?
May I? Without looking at it in front of me right now, resolution for procedures is going to be if we can do it via camera or not. And it's a resolution, so there's only one thing voting on. We need to figure out when we're gonna hold our meetings, and that's gonna take 3 dates to figure out what time of day we're gonna hold our meetings. And then the resolution will be how we hold our meetings. And so if we table the how we hold our meetings, which is 18 at this time, we can figure out when, the dates, not the dates, the times during the day.
Okay,
Yes?
so my concern, back to my original concern of we will be having council members voting on having midday meetings when there is no established plan for our procedures of whether those can be remote or not, or if they're going to be. And so that might prohibit council members from being able to attend, that have day jobs and other things in person.
Correct, but just for clarification, we've got 2 more weeks to discuss item 15, and if there's amendments to that one, then we can adjust the procedures item once we decide exactly how the amendments would look.
Okay?
Council President, my intent in seconding the motion was the understanding that item number 18 would be brought up concurrently with item 15 on 9/11. Is that your intent?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so my second stands it.
Your
Thank you.
intent, but I would agree that's a good strategy.
Okay.
I am okay with,
All right, so we have a motion to table item number 18.
I had one
further-
question.
Yeah, question, go ahead.
So Councilmember Ryan had a suggestion, I don't know if that was a proposed amendment to this, if we should have it included so that we can consider that also?
Well, we would just address that separately. We'd go right back to 15.
Okay.
We would delay the decision on 18 and go to 15. Okay? Clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Zarlingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
yes?
Councilmember Fosse.
Yes.
Councilmember Tui.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
No.
Councilmember Bader.
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes, okay, moving on to item number 15.
Well, we haven't done 15 yet, so,
I'm sorry, did I,
It's in position of 15, but it's actually item number 17.
Because there was an item removed.
okay.
We haven't done 16.
I agree, so the original was that we're gonna move 17 to the very end. We started discussing 15, so I made a chair movement to go right to 18 to get that off the table, so we could go back to 15 and deal with it. Okay, so item 15. Questions, suggestions, amendments?
Councilmember Ryan moves to amend Section 1 to say that council's regularly scheduled Wednesday weekly meeting will commence at 6:31 PM except for the fourth Wednesday of the month and the fifth Wednesday as applicable, at which time it will commence at 12:30 PM.
I'll second the motion.
Questions or comments? And this will also, and just for clarification, this still will include the second one, right, as a day? Yep. All right. Clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse,
Yes? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think she just meant to have the fourth and the fifth Wednesday. The second Wednesday wasn't part of what Councilmember Ryan was
Okay,
speaking to.
Okay. Well, we have a motion and a vote right now, so we're going to just go with it unless you want to.
Well, I just need clarification on what I'm voting on.
Well, I thought we were including the second. That's why I asked the
Oh,
clarification.
But, are,
I was not voting for the second part because that is not in the,
Ashley, can you clarify the motion, please?
It's fourth and fifth. I asked for the second, but that isn't what you made, the motion. Good.
am I continuing the vote?
I think we should clarify what the motion is.
What was the intent of the maker of the motion?
Thank you. Ramsey, did you want to add something real quick?
I was just going to say we should go back to the person who made the motion to
Yes,
clarify
please.
what it is, because
Thank you. I believe I said out loud that Section 1 of this ordinance would be amended to say that the City Council's regularly scheduled Wednesday weekly meeting will commence at 6:31 PM except for the fourth and fifth Wednesday of the month, at which time it will commence at 12:30 PM.
Okay, and we had a second. The second agree with the assumption? All right.
Yes.
So please take the vote.
I will continue with Councilmember Tui,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes. Okay, that was the amendment. Now back to now we're on to the motion as amended.
Just your first reading, so we'll roll those amendments into the
All right.
ordinance moving forward. But you could,
Councilmember Bader.
That was my point. Thank you, Ken. Thanks.
Okay. So what, could you clarify what you were saying? I cut you off.
this ordinance will have its second reading next week, and we'll update the supporting document with the amendment that was approved tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, so moving on to item number 16. Third and final reading, ordinance creating a special construction project entitled Municipal Court Security Camera Upgrades Projects Fund 342, Program 045, to accumulate construction costs for the project.
Councilmember Bader moves the motion.
Councilor Ryan seconds.
Okay, a motion and seconds made. Are there any questions? Okay, clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
yes?
Councilmember Fosse,
yes.
Councilmember Tui,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes, okay, at this time, we'll be going to executive session for 20 minutes. And then when we return, we still have one more item on the agenda. Council President Don Schwab requests 10 more minutes executive session with further action to follow, and one more item. Council President Don Schwab requesting 10 more minutes executive session with action to follow. Okay, we're back from executive session. Just for clarification, we have one more item on our agenda, and it was the voluntary, what item was that here? Okay, item number 17 that we saved for last after the executive session. And just for also more clarification, I said earlier, council members, you have an ordinance before you that was amended, the actual language here. And then we also have a proposed legal amendment, section 5A. And so at this point, at this time, we have an ordinance before you. Is there a motion? Before discussion, we'd have to have a motion and second.
I'll move it to get it on the table here.
Okay?
Seconded.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion?
Is, Council President?
Yes.
Is there it looks like there's a proposed amendment from administration to 1B, is that correct? To amend, to have it read at least 24 months, continuous months of service.
That's correct.
Okay, then I will make the I'll move to amend the ordinance to 1B to reflect that language.
Seconded.
Yep.
Okay, any other discussion on this section?
Just a request for clarification that this would not impact people who had served in, were in the military or were on military leave for any reason.
That is correct. It
Thank
does
you.
not affect them.
Okay, any other questions? So, Councilmember Fossey, I don't know if you have this amendment, but we're looking at the first proposal from legal to amend the ordinance.
If helpful, it's section 1B. It adds the word continuous, and it's in the end of the third to last line.
Can I get clarification?
Yeah.
The original, was that 18 months?
That's right. It was amended to 24 months last week, so that's what's in the packet. And then our recommendation was just to add the word continuous that is in line with the comments that you heard from staff last week with our intention.
Okay.
Okay, any other further questions? Councilmember Vogel?
If I'm not, I might be mistaken, but did I make that amendment to move it from 18 to 24?
You might have
Okay.
seconded it. Councilmember Toohey made the amendment, though. Yeah.
I'm only now wondering if we should go back. And so the continuous is just a word, but it could also be continuous 18 months and also 24 months. So I would like to discuss 18 versus 24.
Okay, currently we have a motion, so you would, we have amendment to the
Amendment.
motion, so you would speak against it. Okay. Any other,
Can I make a
Councilmember
friendly
Fossey,
amendment? Offer a friendly amendment. to
friendly
change it
amendment
to 18
up to
months?
the motion maker? Go ahead. Go ahead, Councilmember Fossey.
Friendly amendment to change, in addition to the adding continuous, to change it from 24 to 18 months.
Just for clarification, you're also asking to change it to 18, the number 24 to 18? That's, I'll leave that to you at this point.
So, I would prefer we vote first on the addition of the word continuous, and then if, would ask Council President if someone else wishes to amend it to 18, back to 18 months, they do that by separate amendment.
Okay. And I would agree that changes the amendment quite a bit. So, all right, on the amendment, this is number one in our packet. Any other comments? Okay. Clerk, will you please take the word?
Continuous.
Yeah, the word continuous, yes.
Okay. Vice President Zarlingo.
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely.
Yes.
Councilmember Fossey.
Yes.
Councilmember Toohey.
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan.
Yes.
Councilmember Bader.
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes. Okay, moving on to our ordinance that has been amended once tonight. Further discussion or comments?
Councilmember Ryan moves that we amend section 1B to change 24 months to 18 months.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Vogely?
The reason that I would like it to go back to the original is to encourage volunteerism. And it sounds like from the people that I've heard from the past few, weeks, 1 week, that that is what it will do.
Okay. Any further comments or questions? Councilmember Ryan?
Thank you. Just appreciate the input from our ASME members to make sure that the amendment reflects what works best for you guys. Thank you.
Okay, all right. No further comments or questions. Clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Zarlingo,
No.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui,
No.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Bader,
No.
President Schwab.
Yes. Okay, right now we have our ordinance before us. We made 2 amendments. Are there any more further comments or questions?
Council President.
Councilmember Bader.
I would move to amend, as requested by administration, section 5A to strike the words "and council" and replace that with the words "or designee."
Seconded.
Okay, any further discussion?
I would hope that we could get some clarification from legal on how this interacts with everything.
This would make the law consistent with our charter and the separation of powers and where those powers are assigned by keeping the mayor's designated authority over hiring and firing decisions.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions or comments? Okay, clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse,
Yes.
Councilmember Tui,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
Yes.
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes, okay, so we have the amended motion. Any further discussions? Councilmember Ryan?
Thank you. I don't think there needs to be an amendment, but the portion that talks about how council will be notified within 30 days if a position is filled, I think there had been some frustrations from council about how that is a notification to council after the fact. So I thought it would be helpful for the next year in our council digest, which I know we all read very diligently every single month, that there could be an additional section about like a VSIP update to share ahead of time that, hey, we had this position, it's essential, we're going to be filling it, tell your friend that would be a good candidate, or if there are any changes or anything along those lines that council could be notified ahead of time instead of retroactively. Thank you.
I'll just speak, happy to notify you as ahead of time. I don't want to, I guess, necessarily announce those things at council meetings, so I'd probably find a process either through the council digest or updates to the council as soon as I am able to. Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd mention a section in the council digest that could be
Perfect.
added for
Yeah.
the next year would be great.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Good, thank you. Okay, so we have amended motion. Any other, or actually, we have an ordinance back on that's been amended. Any other comments, questions, or
I believe there's
Councilmember Zarling?
a staff recommendation for modification to Section 25A, saying the mayor will endeavor to hold that vacated position open for at least 12 months, striking the section that says which must then remain open, because that is, at least from the per-legal advice, that's counter to the city's charter and not within our purview.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second. I'm still trying to, if we could clarify where that's at, I'd be grateful.
Okay, motion second is made. Further discussion?
Very good, thank you.
Councilmember Vogely?
To clarify, The motion for section 5A that we just voted on, was that only for or designee?
Correct.
And not? Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Questions or comments? Okay, no further. Councilmember Fosse looks, I'll see your hand up, so clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Sarlingo?
Yes.
Councilmember Bogley?
Yes?
Councilmember Fosse?
Yes.
Councilmember Tui?
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan?
Yes.
Councilmember Bader?
Yes.
President Schwab?
Yes, okay. Moving on to our ordinance with several amendments. Any questions, comments, or Councilmember Bader?
Thanks, Council President. I apologize, administration, to ask this of you, but we had a constituent make some comments earlier today, earlier this evening, raising some interesting policy questions, and unfortunately, I didn't take them down, so I apologize that I didn't do those. But if you guys have the ability to address concerns that that constituent raised in their comments, I'd be grateful if you could speak to those. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, me too. I wrote the person's name down, but not additional notes about their, I mean, I think I've heard questions about, Mayor, did you, I have no questions about budget variance have arisen. I don't know about other items.
Can you be specific as to what were the things that were brought up? I should have addressed it right after she spoke. I apologize for not. I know one thing that was brought up was that the financials demonstrate that we have a significant budget variance right now in this year, and that we'd be doing this voluntary separation prior to year end, and so we could achieve that savings without having to reduce staff, and that's inaccurate. We haven't done the next phase of our budget amendment, as part of our budget process, we anticipate to have budget variance. We budget for vacancies. I'll use a number for an example. We budget for, let's say, 40 vacancies in the year, and that is in our budget. But when we have more than that many vacancies, we achieve a savings. And through budget amendments, we distribute that back to the departments, and there is some carry forward into the next year, but it's not as great as it appears right now. And whatever savings we achieve in our current fiscal year doesn't actually save us money in 2025. It seems so counterintuitive, like the year ends on December 31st, and you should be able to just take that money and spend it the next year, but it takes months for our accounting team to do all the work they need. We're audited, we have to go through this rigorous work to close out the budget, so we don't have that final variance until halfway through the next year. So what we do with that variance, that budget variance, is we use it to balance 2026. And as you've seen in your budgets, and you probably see in the budgets that you look online, there's always a budget variance that is anticipated and a carry forward that's anticipated, and that carry forward is for a year and a half out. So it's budgeted, and as I've said in public meetings, I'm grateful for our finance team because they are able to anticipate what those numbers are within 2.5% accuracy, which is outstanding. It's better than the state's accuracy, so really very grateful. But it would be not healthy financial accounting to use an anticipated number to balance a budget, so that's why we push it out and wait until we have the final audited financials to use that to balance the future year's budget. Is that helpful?
Yes.
That was the one thing
Thank
I
you.
remembered that she commented, and there might have been others. There is also, I guess, there's comment like, why do this now? Why not wait till later? We are in a tight timeline. This is probably something that the public isn't aware of, but there's a number of rules and regulations that dictate when we do portions of our budget. So RCWs, we have to have X done by X date. And we do have to know what our department budgets, what our salaries are going to be long before council approves the budget. There's some wiggle that happens throughout the budget process, but the bulk of the budget has to be completed early in the year by RCW. So our directors have to be able to be planning and working within a budget that they've been presented. So that's,
Any other questions or comments? Jennifer?
Well, I think you covered all of it. I think maybe just the last takeaway is just to be clear that at least for the last 10 years, that kind of rolling year and a half has been the policy and been the method. So the budget variance that you've seen on the structural deficit projections, that's always that sort of sliding number. So the 2023 savings are what we've slotted into the 2025 numbers that is what has told us ever since early this year that we would have a $12.6 million deficit to that gap to solve. And then kind of two parts to the 2024 picture. One, if there are greater savings, that's great because you know that deficit grows. So that's what we'll need when you work on the 2026 budget. And then the other part of it is that the way that the vacancy savings interplay in that, it's too complicated. I've heard Heidi say it many times even today. I'm not going to say it, but part of it is like it may appear to be greater than it really is in the June financial report that the commenter had seen and that you guys have seen. So that'll look differently as those financial steps, I guess, are taken by our department. Yeah, let's leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Any other Councilmember Zarlingo?
Well,
I'm sorry.
as I understand it, and this is a reasonable custom, a reasonable way to handle things, not the only way to handle things, but it is to a degree conservative, perhaps smoothing out the economic variations that we are subject to. But as I understand it, if there are other exigent circumstances, we can create and pass a budget amendment to adjust these things.
Councilmember Bader.
Thanks. So to maybe be succinct on this one. So if the June financial showed a $5.5 million surplus, that really is not a surplus that we can anticipate continuing to grow. There will instead be a budget amendment that will remove much of that surplus due to the vary.
Yeah, so budget amendment number 2, which is it's in September. I can't remember now because I'm playing with a lot of different agenda items. But that's where those, that kind of held number of anticipated vacancies that the mayor mentioned is taken from just a non-departmental placeholder and assessed by department. And so that will change some of it.
Okay, thanks. There was also the comment made that we weren't being, or that there was not really a strategy in terms of how we were approaching this VSIP. Can someone in administration speak to that, please?
I'm happy to talk to that. I first wanted, the constituent also said that officers are included. While Everett Police Management is included, which includes our lieutenants and captains, our police officers are not included. So I want to make sure that I state that as well. And then the constituent also said that it did not address the structural deficit. And there are several reasons, or she said, the individual said that it was not a strategic move, and that maybe we should go right to involuntary separations. And I do want to point out, before I get into all the reasons why the VSIP is a good strategic move for the city, I want to point out and make sure that it's clear that everyone at home as well as in here understands that we are self-insured for unemployment. So if we did move to involuntary separations, those individuals would be allowed to apply for unemployment, and the city would pay up to 6 months, which equals $28,000, which is very similar to the same payment that they would receive on average through the VSIP, and in some cases, even more so. So it is strategic in that matter as well, but for other reasons as well. You heard Roger Mueller, our ASME staff representative, talk to this today, but for employee morale, this is huge. Our employees would rather the city offer voluntary separations first before we have to move to harder decisions. It matches our organizational culture. It allows us the city to, to experience significant savings from those that we think that will take this. That will reduce the amount of involuntary separations that we have to make or other tough decisions. And again, I was just going to reiterate what the mayor had said too, and timing is of the essence, because the constituent also talked about the timing and why do we have to do this now? But as the mayor indicated earlier, under RCW, if we wait any longer, we will have to move to those tougher decisions and not allow for the voluntary separation. So I hope I addressed that to the best.
Maybe a little deeper in that, was there a strategy involved in which groups this is offered to?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, we didn't, first of all, it needed to be in the general fund because we need to define those savings. But number two, we also did not offer this to departments in the general fund or to positions or classifications within the general fund that would have to be filled immediately due to operational need because they are essential services. Now, while I will say that every employee at the city is essential, there are essential services in public safety that we do have to protect. And I think that this plan was strategically designed, and the way that we rolled this out with the incentive plan and the and who it was not only offered to, but for the months of service. And I'm very happy that you did go back and put it back to 18 months because there was a reason strategically why we even put it to 18 months. And you just got 10 more individuals that are now eligible for the VSIP by amending that tonight.
I just have one
Yeah,
more. Apologize
go ahead,
for
Councilman,
hogging the
go ahead.
questions here. Do we have any update, or is it a current update of a $12.6 million shortfall next year at this point?
Yeah, I just asked Heidi about that today, and they're constantly evaluating that, and yeah, it is still, it's like within thousands of dollars of that number currently. It does wiggle, it wiggles around, but as I said, our finance team is frighteningly accurate in their projections, and the only thing that might impact that would be big, economic changes that we're not anticipating currently. But yeah, that number is still the accurate number that's the gap that we are needing to fill. I also want to say one more thing on the budget variance and the 5 million, 5.5 that was in the financials. Due to the hiring freeze that I've implemented and other cost savings measures that I've asked for immediately with the Prop 1 failing, we have immediately tightened our belt not to achieve savings this year, we have that in our budget, but to achieve higher savings for closing the gap in 2026. So even though that number will be, impacted by the budget amendment because of everything that we were just sharing, I'm also asking for additional savings because I know we're not only trying to close this gap, but we're trying to close a gap in 2026. And so I also anticipate that number to grow based on those actions.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Bader. Councilmember Ryan.
Great, thank you. To tag on to questions, staff or the mayor could share more about, thank you for clarifying on the strategic approach, but what are some of the goals, aspirations, and priorities that were kept in mind during the decision-making process?
Public safety and quality of life. Those remain the goals that guide me in when I design the budget that I present to you typically. This year, I'm hoping that it's a very collaborative process because this is a really uncomfortable place to be in, to have to make these kinds of reductions. But overall, when I sat with the team and looked at needing to identify work groups that could be eligible for voluntary separations, I wanted to make sure that we were trying to protect those two things. As Candy shared, all of our positions really are part of that. So I'd say that everybody who works at the city focuses on safety, and everybody who works at the city is part of what creates the quality of life. But really tried to make sure that we were meeting those kind of core goals of running the city. And then, obviously, we also have to operate a city. We talk a lot about the general fund, and you know, this, because the general fund is what our public experience, police and fire and parks and library and everything that makes our city wonderful and nice roads. But we also have to operate the city. We have 20 different business lines, which require IT department and finance department and HR and all of these systems that any business needs to operate. And so those are required to operate no matter what. And we also have a full enterprise fund. We operate a regional water utility. We operate a transit department. We operate golf courses. And so we can't reduce our IT department. We can't offer voluntary separations to our IT department, because guess what? They have to make sure that our systems are working for our water utility. So there were groups that wouldn't be eligible that may have wanted it, because they're required for parts of the city that are really part of our safety network, like clean water. Does that help?
Thank you.
Okay, before you, Councilmember
Yeah,
Toohey.
thank you. Yeah,
Yes.
you know, I've struggled with this, feeling, you know, rushed into this, which I think several of us might feel that way. But the other part of it, and I want to do what's right for our employees, and I think if they can voluntarily do this, that's great. But this is kind of a temporary fix. It's not a permanent, we're going to reduce these positions. You know, it's temporarily held open for hopefully a year for savings for next year. But what we really, really need to do is strategically plan what we can and can't do as a city based off our income. And, you know, so this is going to take more time. I understand that, but we really need to figure out how we can do this on a permanent basis, instead of just every so many years do a voluntary and whoever goes, and we'll use that savings. So I really struggle that we're not looking at a permanent strategic plan that can get us out of annual deficits that really spend so much of everybody's time on trying to figure this out. So I really struggle with this being the first approach without really having a strategy on how we prioritize our services and programs, and making some really sound decisions on reducing staff or programs based on those priorities. So I don't know when we're going to do that, but until we do, we're not going to get out of this deficit. So I hate pushing it back another year, kicking it forward, but so I struggle with this one. Thank you.
Councilmember Zarlingo.
Well, I second the desire to be more long-term and strategic in this. I think one of the I struggle as well. Where I've come to on this after understanding the budget, the carry forwards, how we handle these things, and other alternatives, my sense in this case is that given the additional kinds of cuts we're going to have to make in future years, or modifications in how we do things, that this measure achieves voluntarily some things kind of inside that envelope, the larger envelope that we are probably going to be facing. So I think very much that we've not accomplished a true strategic overview of things. We've retained a consultant to help us along in that, who has broad experience in other cities, and indeed is working with a couple of those right now, some of which are in some very difficult situations compared to us even. So I'm very much sympathetic with the need to be strategic about this. I think that's where we are headed in a much deeper council involvement in budget generation in the next several months, few weeks especially. So while I understand the need for more strategy, I also think that strategy is likely to include things like these separations, and if we can achieve them voluntarily at costs that are similar to what we'd otherwise expend, and with reduced risks to the city, then that's a strong suggestion to me. Thank you.
Councilmember Vogely.
I think we've been talking about strategy for a few years, and while I'm still not happy with where we are right now, we still have on the table, and I'm sure we're going to continue to talk about it, you know, are we gonna switch our fire department out? Parks, you know, all of these different things that we haven't done yet, because as we've all heard and we all know, we are full service, and 80% of our budget-ish, let's say, goes to people, real live people working. And if we don't have the departments, then we won't have the people in those departments. So I'll keep it short. There's more possible things for the people to decide about, like the fire department, et cetera, and how we can't keep everybody like we want to.
Okay, thank you. For my statements, I would say thank you for those that are out there listening on this tape and still here, and thank you for here in the room. If you see a little exhaustion up here, I think you're probably right. Just remind those that might be watching, we spent 9 council meetings with a specific, very specific intentionality of looking at different aspects of the budget. And it really began as a primary about how we got here. We looked at, as Councilmember Vogel brought up, we looked at different revenue options. And then towards the end of those 9 sessions, we decided, okay, once we decided on the option of a levy lift, then the next question was, all right, how much? How much were we going to put before the voters? And at that time, I just want to remind, the main question was, well, how long do we want to have a budget that's fully funded before we had to go back to the voters? And so that is why we chose, the main motivation, my point of view, we chose the number that we did. Still thinking we would still have to make additional cuts. So I just want to also remind the public and those watching, we still have about 10 meetings going over the budget, and that includes the analysis that we as a council member hired a third party. This body really takes what we're doing very seriously, and we're going to dedicate, as a council, dedicate our time to make sure we make the best informed decision that we can. So thank you for that. So before us is item number 17, Council Bill 2408-18, third and final reading, adopt an ordinance establishing a voluntary separation incentive program that will be available to eligible City of Everett employees. 1 week ago, we had approximately 4 amendments. And then tonight, we had 4 amendments also added. So with no further discussion, clerk, please take the roll.
Vice President Zarlingo,
Yes.
Councilmember Vogely,
Yes.
Councilmember Fosse,
Yes.
Councilmember Toohey,
Yes.
Councilmember Ryan,
A heavy-hearted yes.
Councilmember Bader,
Yes.
President Schwab.
Yes. Well, with no further business, meeting will be adjourned.